maybe it just goes away automatically. Anyway, so take 2 minutes and go through all the information given, because when we start discussing the question and then I will refer to these values, then I want you to know what particular value that I'm talking about. So take 2 minutes and go through the entire length of the question. And once you have read through it, then give me a green check, and then we will start discussing how to solve this. Okay, let's start. आपने सॉल्व नहीं करना, आपने सिर्फ अभी क्वेश्चन की इंफॉर्मेशन पढ़ लेनी है, और फिर हम एक बार इसको पहले डिस्कस करेंगे सारी इंफॉर्मेशन को. वी विल आइडेंटिफाई द की ट्रैप्स एंड एरियाज वेयर वी नीड टू पे अटेंशन टू, एंड देन we will start it together. Just go through the information, read it. And when you're done reading, then leave a green check. I don't like this new change in Zoom. The green checks, they automatically fade away after some time. Chalo khair. Anyway, I believe most of us have already given a green check. They vanish automatically. But okay, I think we can start now. So what are we given in a nutshell? We have a summary of the bank account. That means that what we received and what we have paid during this financial year. So all of these are what you recovered from your different sources, and where these sources were applied. So you can see on the payment side, you have two basic types of payments. You have some expenses and payments to suppliers, and then there is a machine that you bought, that's a non-current asset, right? So and some drawings. So you can see your payments, you have the usual applications. So we have let me just see, right, the reds here, they belong to your balance sheet, right? These are your balance sheet relevant items, because the first one is about machinery and equipment. That means that you paid this much for machinery and equipment. And if we interpret this, अच्छा मेरी आवाज़ कम आ रही है? Okay, let me check. मेरा mic तो नहीं मैंने गलत select किया हुआ? अच्छा नहीं, mic तो मेरा ठीक है. Okay, I'll try to speak louder. Let me just make it a little louder. How's it now? Is it good? Better? Or yeah, okay. Yes, Amal, absolutely. We are going to miss those green checks there. The only option we have is the raise hand, so we're going to use raise hand option instead of the green check. So yes, I am going to miss that too. That actually is a very important part of our online class, that I need consistent feedback from you. So a green check and a red cross, it helps a lot. But Google Meet has a raise hand option, so I will get used to it. I'll have to get used to it. I'm already started using Google Meet with some other groups, so Manka, just to get a hand of it. So don't worry, it's not going to be that bad. Don't worry. Okay, and let me highlight the yellows here. These are all your expenses, right? So these are your, what we can say, these are going to go to the profit and loss account section. Yes, Iman, we will be shifting to Google Meet very soon. Actually, January में जब आपकी बस आखिरी कल क्लास होगी Zoom पे, उसके बाद हम January में जब मिलेंगे, so अगर हमारी ऑनलाइन क्लासेस होंगी January में तो वो Google Meet पे होंगी with your official LGS domain ID. The school is going to provide you with official IDs 55.lgs.edu.pk type, और फिर आप उसके साथ साइन इन किया करेंगे. यू कांट यूज़ योर पर्सनल Google IDs or anything else. You will have to have a school ID. That way they are going to track your attendance and your login time and your log out time and all that, right? That's what school is moving on to. Okay, so I'm highlighting some values over here. So give me a green check if we understand the profit and loss section of income statement is the gross profit के बाद वाला section, right? Gross profit के बाद जब आप net profit तक पहुंचते हैं वो सारा profit and loss section of the income statement है. Sales to gross profit is your trading account section. So the yellow highlights over here tells you these are the parts which are going to affect your gross profit after the gross profit section. Yes or no? Give me a green check. We understand that all these expenses, that yellow highlights that I have placed over there, these are all going to be your expenses section after the gross profit has been calculated. Okay, these green checks are vanishing on their own. But anyway, so I think we cannot rely on the green check because usually they used to stay there, so I could clear them out ताकि फिर मुझे पता लगे. लेकिन अब खैर वो नहीं है मेरे पास ये option. अब after the class I'll check the options, but anyway we are going to be moving to Google Meet, and so no worries. Now I'm going to highlight another, make a highlight here, the green highlight here, cash purchases and accounts payable. Now these are the highlights here. If we are to make a control account, right, let me make another green highlight here, right? These are the highlights, the green ones. Let me erase the other green ones. Yeah, the green highlights over here are relevant to control accounts. If we are to make control accounts, we will be needing this information for calculation of total sales and total purchases. And कैश परचेजेस हमारे पास दी में वो कंट्रोल अकाउंट में तो नहीं आएंगी, लेकिन वी डू नो दैट कैश परचेजेस इज गोइंग टू बी कंसिडर्ड आफ्टर द कंट्रोल अकाउंट इन ऑर्डर टू कैलकुलेट टोटल परचेजेस, एंड विदाउट दैट द कॉस्ट ऑफ गुड्स सोल्ड सेक्शन विल नॉट बी कंप्लीट. अच्छा, Hadia says Zoom is much better, Iman. Yes, checks are not vanishing on your side. Yes, yes, Hadia. Actually, I just updated the Zoom client. There is a recent update. उसमें वो reactions आ गए हैं जिसमें smiley faces और lots of other things. जब आप भी अपनी एंड पे जब Zoom client update करेंगे तो वहाँ पे it will have a slightly different interface about the non-verbal feedback. Yes, Asma, आपके green checks stay कर रहे हैं, लेकिन I have no option here on my end कि मैं आपके clear out कर दूं, तो आप अपने green checks खुद ही से clear out कर लें. ठीक है. Yeah. Okay. So, okay, the green highlights over here, we understand the application of these green highlights. Basically, when we are doing an incomplete record question, we go through every bit of information and we ask ourselves that why is this information given and where are we going to eventually use it? So that is what I'm doing right now. I'm just identifying the sections of receipts and payments, that where are these informations eventually going to be used. So give me a green check again if you agree that the green highlights over here, these are what we will be needing to calculate total sales and purchases. If we are to make control account, we will be needing that information. Yes or no? Okay, since I cannot really see your green checks sustaining, and if you have given me a red cross and it got erased, so you can leave your query in the chat box, okay? We can use chat box more today. Right. Now, Another important red area here, and that is the bank loan that you received during the year. This bank loan is also going to go to the balance sheet, right? We will see the non-current liability section. This is going to go over there. So basic information is what we have already highlighted. The rest of the information, opening balance and the closing balance, how are we going to use this information? We will discuss it as we attempt the question. Now move on to the additional information. There is a loan, 12,000. Obviously, we're talking about this loan, $12,000. And it was taken from the bank, and interest is at 20% per annum. No interest has yet been paid. And the date of receiving this loan is the 1st of April, right? So 1st of April ko humne loan liya, and every time you come across a long-term loan, be very careful about interest calculation. So that means interest, the loan itself is going to go to the balance sheet, of course, right? But the interest on loan is an expense, right? So what we can do is we can have a color code over here. So interest को मैं again yellow mark कर देता हूँ. जो हमारे expenses हैं उनको मैं yellow से highlight कर दूंगा. It will be easier for us to do it like this. ठीक है? So interest is an expense, and the loan itself is your liability, right? A red mark over here means something to do with the balance sheet, right? A yellow highlight over here means that we are talking about the profit and loss section of the income statement, right? So interest on loan is your expense. So how do we calculate interest on loan? We know $12,000. So why the expenses are going in the purchase ledger? It's no, it's not purchase ledger. It's income statement. Let me change. My fault. Yes, you're right. बिल्कुल ठीक है फजर. It's income statement, right? Income statement may profit and loss section. The second half of the income statement is what I refer to. Okay. So let's refer to income statement, right? So $12,000 is the value of our loan, right? And $12,000 के ऊपर जो हमारा interest expense है, that is 10% per annum, and that comes out to be $1,200 per annum, right? But since the loan was received on the 1st of April here, right? So that means, and our financial year finishes, loan received 1st April, whereas financial year is finishing on 30th of September. So we know that loan has not been utilized for the entire year. So we can calculate the number of months now: April, May, June, July, August, and September. There are only 6 months. So that means this needs to be further trimmed down. So $1,200 is 1 year's expense multiplied by 6/12. That is your expense, actual expense, right? So if we agree on this calculation, then a green check here, right? We understand $600 is the actual amount of interest, not $1,200, right? Alicia and Iman and Hadia and Madiha and Mehreen. Okay. No, it does not. It doesn't have to say, Hadia, that interest is paid monthly or not, or interest is. हम हमेशा accruals concept apply करते हैं जब हम expenses को measure करते हैं, right? So अगर आपने 1 साल तक इकोनॉमिक बेनिफिट यूटिलाइज किया होता, इंटरेस्ट ऑन, अगर आपने 1 साल तक आपका लोन का बेनिफिट आपने यूज किया होता, तो फिर आप जरूर 10% पूरे का पूरा $1,200 चार्ज करते एक्सपेंस. द प्रॉब्लम इज दैट यू हैव ओनली रिसीव्ड दिस लोन ऑन द 1st of April. सो इससे पहले लोन एग्जिस्ट ही नहीं करता था. सो इससे $600 से आपने 6 months ago ये लोन रिसीव किया है. सो in the current period of time, only 6 months interest matches, right? Okay. No worries. Okay. Okay, so now the next part is discount allowed by suppliers for the year ended 30th of September, 600. Now this is a classic trap here. You can see the term used over here is discount allowed, whereas this is not discount allowed. This is discount received. You see, discount allowed by suppliers. You allow discount to your customers. You receive discount from your suppliers. So discount was allowed by the suppliers over here means that you received this discount. So we can make a small adjustment here. We can change it to discount received basically, and discount received for the year $600 means this is going to go to the control account as well when you're making the control account, as well as an income, right? It's an income as well as it is going to be treated in the control account wherever when we make the purchases ledger control account. Let me change this to purchase ledger control account. It'll be easier for, so this is going to be involved in making of the purchase ledger control account, as well as it is going to be treated as an income. Yes or no? So when we do an incomplete record question, we read through the entire set of information and we make these memory notes right there. ये information हमें क्यों दी हुई और इसको हम eventually कहाँ पे use करेंगे. So that is what I'm doing right now here, right? Give me a green check if you understand that this is not discount allowed but discount received, and this is going to be used in the purchase ledger control account if we make one, and it is also going to be treated as an income later on, right? Okay, so since the green checks are vanishing on my end, so if you, बल्कि हम ऐसा करते हैं कि आइंदा से हम red cross का ही बस रख लेंगे. If you don't understand, then you just give me a red cross so that I'll know the rest of you understand it. Okay, ठीक है, very good. Okay, what's the significance of the third note? All sales were on credit basis. So the significance is that the total sales, when you're calculating your total sales, you have to make your control account first, sales ledger control account के through आप credit वाला part calculate करते हैं, and then you look for cash sales. There are no cash sales. So basically this note number 3 simply tells you that there are no cash sales. Besides, अगर cash sales होती तो हमारे पास receipt section में यहाँ पर दी होती बैंक account में कहीं पे, right? So यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं there are no cash sales. जैसे cash purchases you can see are given in the payments. So अगर हमारे पास cash sales होती तो वो हमारे पास receipt section में debit side पर होती, but इस case में वो नहीं है. So even if this assumption was not given that all sales were on credit basis, we knew that sales, there are no cash sales, so that means total sales are equal to credit sales. So leave a red cross here if you don't understand this explanation. If you, okay, Mary. So basically it says that your sales are on credit basis, right? So अगर वो credit basis पर हैं, तो इसका मतलब ये है कि आपके पास सिर्फ कंट्रोल अकाउंट के थ्रू जो सेल्स निकलेंगी वही आपकी टोटल सेल्स हैं. So there are no cash sales to look for. That is what it means. Yes or no? Okay, good. अगर हमारे पास कैश सेल्स होती तो वो हमें हमेशा, चूंकि ये रिसीट्स वाली साइड है ना बैंक अकाउंट की, तो जो भी अमाउंट आप रिसीव करते हैं वो डेबिट साइड पर होना चाहिए था. तो अगर हमारे पास कोई कैश सेल्स होती तो वो यहाँ पर हमारे पास दी होती, बट देयर इज नो आइटम एज कैश सेल्स ऑन द डेबिट साइड, सो दैट मीन्स देयर आर नो कैश सेल्स, एंड दैट इज व्हाट इज बीइंग reiterated here, that all sales are made on credit basis. All right, so we move to the next. Andrew had taken goods at the cost of $500 for his personal use. So that is your drawings. So you can connect now. You have one drawings given here in the bank account. These are your cash drawings. And then there are some additional stock drawings here. These are your stock drawings. So how do we treat stock drawings? These stock drawings are going to go to the cost of goods sold section, and we are going to subtract it from there. The stock drawings $500 are not just going to be ये $500, ठीक है. So ये हमारी सिर्फ drawings नहीं है, आपकी total drawings जो हैं वो अब $14,000 होगी, $13,500 for the cash drawings and $500 for stock drawings. So when you put drawings in the balance sheet, you're going to put them both over there, $14,000. But out of these $14,000, since $500 is stock drawings, so that means they're also going to affect your cost of goods sold section in the income statement. Yep. If we agree, good. Otherwise, a red cross. Don't worry, I'll make the income statement. Okay. So I just need to for you to make a rough sketch in your head that why this information is given and where we are going to eventually use it. Right. Good. Okay, excellent. And finally, we are given some balances here. 1st of October 20x5 is the start of our current financial year, and 30th of September 20x6 is the end of the current financial year, and that is the date where you are supposed to make all your financial statements here, right? So these are all the balances. These are all the opening balances. I'll write it down. ये सब के सब opening balances हैं आपके पास of everything, and these are all your closing balances, right? For whatever item you choose. If you're looking for an opening balance, you'll take the first column value. If you're looking for a carried down balance or closing balance, you look at the second column. So you have accounts receivable here. So we know accounts receivable, that means trade receivable. So that's the balance brought down for sales ledger control account, and that's the balance carried down for sales ledger control account. So this is going to go to sales ledger control account, right? Plus the balance sheet, right? Because obviously trade receivables also have to go to the balance sheet, right? So inventory at cost is going to be your income statement, right? So this is going to be your cost of goods sold plus the balance sheet, right? Because the opening inventory and the closing inventory, they are going to be used in the cost of goods sold section. And then the closing inventory is also going to go to the balance sheet current assets section, right? Then we have some insurance and general expenses prepaid. So Alina Vakas, we are going to make those accounts here as well. So hopefully by the time we finish the incomplete records, so आपके accounts वाले जो accrued prepaid expenses के accounts बनाने वाला part है वो भी काफी हद तक figure out हो जाएगा. Accounts payable, that is your purchases ledger control account here, right? Purchase ledger control account plus the balance sheet, right? And then you have your premises, sorry, that's your red part. So you have your premises and your machinery, your non-current assets. So these are going to go to simply the balance sheet here. I'm just going to make a collective annotation here. So Cambridge recommendations are that when you're attempting an incomplete record question, you should spend good 10, 12, 15 minutes just reading the question. And when we mean by reading the question, this is what we mean. We are going to sort of identify, we're going to leave a lot of memory notes and hints there that where this information is going to be used. With more practice, it will come naturally. This is the first time we're doing it, so it looks like that's a lot of work, but actually when we have done a couple of questions, it will start to come to you naturally, so don't worry. So if there is any problem with these annotations, if you don't understand what I wrote or why I wrote that, then you can ask in the chat. If all is good, then a green check, or yeah, all is good, then a green check, right? Okay, all good, all good, all good, very good. Okay, Iman, Fajr, Hadia, and Iman, we are all good. Okay, okay. What would be the closing balance, Alina Sayyed, for the non-current asset? Okay, all of these are your closing balances. You can see the date over here. The closing balances are these ones, right? And the opening balances are these ones, right? We will see if it's not necessary that all of the given information is needed, right? We will see what is relevant to our current analysis and what is not relevant to our current analysis. अच्छा, what do they represent? जब आप balance sheet बनाएंगे, Alina, yes, very good, very good. This is a hint here. बिल्कुल, अभी बताता हूँ. जब आप balance sheet बनाएंगे, तो you will be making the balance sheet as at 30th of September 20x6. So you will be needing to know कि आपके trade receivables कितने जाने चाहिए वहाँ पे, आपकी inventory क्या होनी चाहिए, और आपके prepaid या accrued expenses क्या होने चाहिए, and your non-current assets, how much should they be valued there? And as Alina has correctly identified over here, we have read through the entire question, and we know from our knowledge from the depreciation topic that land is the only exception which is not subject to a depreciation charge. The entire length of this information we have gone through, there is no depreciation given anywhere. We are not given any straight line reducing balance method, any depreciation rate over here. In fact, since this is the incomplete record, so that is left to you. So what we are going to do is we are going to see how these balances are changing. And then we will see if we have bought anything during the year or not. You can see here, we have bought some machinery over here. So we are going to analyze these values. We will see how much change is coming in the non-current asset value. And then we will deduce that the main, whatever change that has not been accounted for, that a non-accounted for change must be representing a depreciation. But when the time comes, right now, we need to know that there is a hidden value of depreciation somewhere, and we will learn to decipher it later on. So don't worry. But okay, since now we have started discussing it, so maybe we can do it right now. Remember the depreciation chapter MCQs? We used to make this account, a non-current asset account, add net book value, right? That is a quick workaround for your depreciation calculation or any other missing value calculation here, right? So we have the balance brought down. In this case, the non-current asset is machinery. Let me just do it for machinery, right? The balance brought down here is obviously the opening balance, which we will find here. This is our opening balance for the machinery and equipment, $11,000. I think my screen share is sluggish, right? So $11,000. So we make $11,000 opening balance. We take this value here on the debit side. On the debit side, we have additions, if any, right? And on the credit side, we have disposals. ठीक है, additions की भी net book value और disposals की भी net book value, right? और फिर हमारे पास यहाँ पे depreciation charge आ जाता है, and then we have balance carried down here, which we are given again from the same list of balances. If you can see, this is the closing balance here, right? That's your opening balance, and this is the closing balance here, right? So balance carried down here, we have $12,000, right? So we are given the opening balance here and the closing balance here. Do we have any additions? If you can spot any additions, any machinery that we bought during the year? If we have bought a machinery or any non-current asset, we must have paid for it. And that means we can come through this section here. These are the payments here. So you can always find if you have bought any new non-current assets here. You can see machinery and equipment exists, $4,000 here. So that means we can put $4,000. It's $4,000, not $13,500, Alina. आपने वो figure गलत किया, but your investigation process was correct, right? Yeah, it's $4,000. And then we look for disposals, right? Did we dispose of any non-current asset during the year? No, we did not. Because how can I say that we did not dispose of any machinery during the year? Because if we had disposed of, we would have received something. And if we had received something, the amount should be on the debit side somewhere here. But you can see the only two amounts that you received here is a bank loan and collection from your trade receivables. There is no disposal of a non-current asset. This is where you can find a disposal value of a non-current asset. So this is how I make a comfortable and a solid assumption over here that there are no disposals during the year, right? So now we can connect the dots and see if there is any depreciation charge involved. So you can see $11,000 was the net book value in the beginning of the year. You bought $4,000 net book value assets more. So that means your net book value by the end of the year should be $15,000, right? And if your net book value should be $15,000 at the end of the year, but our records say that we only have $12,000 worth of net book value, so where did the remaining $3,000 assets go? These must have been depreciated. So this $3,000 is your depreciation charge, right? We have done this account many times in the depreciation MCQs. Yes, Alina Sayed, excellent. It's $3,000 is going to be your depreciation charge. So if you do not understand this calculation of depreciation, then a red cross, and I'll explain again. Okay, everyone agrees. No red crosses here. Excellent. Very good. Okay. So now if we apply the same check here for the other non-current asset, you can see the other non-current asset is premises. So 30,000 net book value in the last year, 30,000 in the current year. There are no further premises purchased during the year. Otherwise, we would have had a reference of additional premises bought on the payment side. No premises were disposed of either, because if we had any disposal of premises, we would have had references, some sort of a hint here on the debit side. So that means nothing bought, nothing sold, nothing is even depreciated. You can see the value is not even changing. So that means our depreciation, we don't charge depreciation on our premises. Yes or no? We agree on that? There is no depreciation charge on premises, right? No depreciation on premises. Excellent, right? The only non-current asset we are depreciating is the machinery. Please give me a green check quickly before they vanish from my side, right? Okay. Or a red cross if you don't understand this conclusion that premises are not to be depreciated in our business. Only machinery and equipment were depreciated, and that's how you calculate depreciation, right? You can make a similar account for premises as well, and you will find that depreciation के बगैर ही वो premises आपकी balance out हो जाएगी. Okay, so now we have seen all of this. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Make the control accounts, make the two control accounts, sales ledger control account and the purchases ledger control account, and find the answer to part A, right? Once you have calculated, this is going to be exactly the same as the first two questions. Yes, हमने 15.1 and 15.2 में कंट्रोल अकाउंट्स बनाए थे और फिर उसमें से सेल्स एंड परचेजेस कैलकुलेट किए थे. एग्जैक्टली इस तरह से हम करेंगे. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट, एंड वंस यू हैव calculated your answer to part A, where we have total sales and total purchases, then let me know. Put your answer in the chat box. I will confirm the answer, right? Let's start. If you're looking for the balance brought down and carried down for a sales ledger control account, this is where it is, right? The trade receivables last year is the balance brought down, and the trade receivable balance current year is the balance carried down here, right? And accounts payable, these are your purchase ledger control account balances, right? Just give me a minute, I'll be back. I'll get myself water in the meanwhile. Yes, anyone with sales and purchases calculated? If you can't calculate it, you don't understand, then let me know. I'll make the control accounts for you. But if you can, that's appreciated. I hope there is no background noise because it's very loud in my neighborhood. Balls are the massive construction over here and it's very loud. Anyone got the control account done? Remember, discount received has to go on the purchase ledger control account, the note number 2. Don't forget to put discount received in the purchase ledger control account. The balance brought down will be 8,400 for sales ledger control account. 18,400. Yes, 18,400, not 8,400. The बैलेंस ब्रॉट डाउन 8,400 जिसको आप रेफर कर रहे हैं वो सेल्स लेजर कंट्रोल अकाउंट का नहीं है, वो बैंक अकाउंट का बैलेंस है. This is the sales ledger control account is about trade receivables. So this is where the trade receivables are given, or you can see on the screen. That's the balance brought down, right? This 8,400 here is the opening balance of the bank. ये बैंक अकाउंट है ना, तो ये बैंक अकाउंट का बैलेंस ब्रॉट डाउन है. सेल्स लेजर कंट्रोल अकाउंट में ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स का बैलेंस ब्रॉट डाउन जाएगा, विच इज हियर, राइट? Alicia, the payment section, the cash purchases here are the cash purchases as it says, right? Okay, let me, मैं करता हूँ, ऐसा करता हूँ मैं, क्योंकि हमारे पास टाइम खत्म हो रहा है, 11:15 हो गए. So let me make this, ठीक है? If you disagree, then you can leave your query in the chat box. Okay, so this is your purchases ledger control account, right? That's your purchase ledger control account. The opening balance for the purchase ledger control account will be found here on the list of balances. That is your purchase ledger control account opening balance, accounts payable or trade payables last year. That is the value given here. So the balance brought down on the purchase ledger control account is going to be on the credit side, which will be 7,800. Balance carried down is going to be on the debit side, which is 8,300, right? The payments to suppliers is from the bank account. This is going to come from the bank account, and the payments to suppliers needs not to be confused with the cash purchases, right? The payments to suppliers you can find here on in the bank account. There you go. That's your suppliers, right? That's your payments to the suppliers, 44,500, right? So 44,500 is your payments to suppliers, right? And then you have discount received as well, right? Remember, note number 2, discount received was $600. And now you will balance this account to find the purchases on credit, right? So can you tell me the amount of purchases on credit? This is going to be your balancing figure, right? This is going to be your balancing figure. So you will balance this account and find the balancing figure as the missing value of the purchases on credit. If you have any disagreement on any of the values I placed on the purchase ledger control account, let me know. Alicia, 45,600, thank you, right? 45,600 is the purchase on credit. Now we have credit purchases हो गई हमारे पास, purchases credit वाली हमारे पास आ गई, ठीक है, which is 45,600, and the purchases value for cash is also given here in the bank account. That's your payments, right? Payments के अंदर आपके पास cash purchases दी हुई 7,200, right? I should not have written this, sorry. This is your control account, purchase ledger control account, right? So cash purchases is 7,200. So we have $7,200 here, and that is going to give us the total purchases, right? $52,800, right? That's our total purchases. Yes or no? Please give me a green check if we agree with the calculation of total purchases. The only difficult part was to collect these values, because these values are scattered all around the information in the question. So you have to know where to look for these values. And with a couple of questions under the with some practice, you will know where to look for these values. So initially I'll help you, later on you will do it yourself, right? So similarly, we can make the control account now for sales ledger. So sales ledger control account, right? Sales ledger control account, right? So sales ledger control account, the opening balance is going to be on the debit side. And where do we find the opening balance? There you see the opening balance here. That's the opening balance. 18,400 for sales ledger, because we're looking for trade receivables, and that is the closing balance here, right? So the opening balance is 18,400, and the balance carried down will be on the credit side, which will be 21,300. Right. The receipts from trade receivables will be on the credit side, and if we are looking for receipts, then we need to look in the bank account here. That's your bank account here, receipts, and that is the amount that you recovered from your trade receivables, $98,600. So that is what we are going to use here from trade receivables, $98,600. There are no discounts, there are no returns, there's nothing else that we can put in the control account. We know the usual items which appear in the control account, no contra settlements, nothing. So that means our control account is complete. So we are going to simply balance this control account, and we are going to get sales on credit. जो हमारी sales हुई on credit, we can find that. So this is going to be our balancing figure. So what is the sales value? And from note number 3, we already know that there are no cash sales, because note number 3 clearly says that all sales are made on credit basis. So that means there are no cash sales. So that means we don't really have to do anything like this anymore. So whatever we calculate, thank you, Alina and Alicia and Asma, 101,500. That is our sales on credit. So we have our sales and purchases calculated. Now we can start with part B. We can make the income statement, right? So part B, this is part B, income statement for the year ended 30th of September 20x6, right? And we will have our 2 columns. Right? We start with the sales revenue, right? We have our sales, which is 101,500 from the control account, and we don't have any sales returns. You can skip sales returns, but I'm just putting it here for reference. अगर होती तो हम जरूर minus करते, लेकिन there is nothing, so I'm just putting nil over here as a placeholder. And now 101,500 is your sales, right? Then you subtract the cost of goods sold. That's your working title. We start with the purchases. We have already calculated purchases in part A. The purchases value is $52,800, right? We don't have any returns or carriages. अगर होती तो हम उनको उसी तरह से place करते जैसे हम usually करते हैं. So this case में there's nothing. So we will add the opening inventory and we will subtract the closing inventory. And where do we find opening and closing inventory here? We will look through these opening and closing balances given at the end of the year, right? You can see that's the opening balance here, inventory at cost. Inventory at cost, that is your opening inventory and that is your closing inventory, right? So we are going to put these values here, 82,600, 82,000 and 9,600, 8,200, sorry, 8,200 and 9,600. That's our opening and closing inventory, right? And now we get the cost of goods sold. So can you tell me the cost of goods sold here? One thing I forgot. Sorry. Wait. The stock drawings, remember note number 4, we already marked it here. Note number 4 here, you can see Andrew had taken goods at the cost of $5,000 for his personal use. These were the stock drawings and we were supposed to put them in the cost of goods sold. So now we can, I'll just improvise. So 52,800 here minus 500, and I will change that. Ideally, you should show it separately. $52,300, right? So stock drawing, yes, Fajr, thank you for reminding. Yes, stock drawings आ गई हमारे पास, वो हमने इस तरह से implement कर दी. So now we can calculate the accurate value of cost of goods sold. What's that?
Sir, 50900.
50900, thank you. 50900, and that is our cost of goods sold, and we get the gross profit here now. So the gross profit should be $50,600. 50600 is our gross profit, right? Once gross profit is done, we look for other incomes, and we do remember there is one other income, discount received, right? So we will add discount received. There is just one, so you don't really have to create a separate head since there is just one other income. So discount received was $600. So हम $600 में add कर देंगे, and then we are going to subtract all our expenses. And where do we find all the expenses? Expenses are supposed to be paid except for depreciation. So before we forget depreciation, let's put the depreciation here. Depreciation on machinery, right? We have already calculated depreciation on machinery here. Where did we calculate this? There's $3,000 here. That is your depreciation on machinery. We calculated it in our working above, right? So we can use the same depreciation charge here, $3,000. That's the only non-cash expense that we have. The rest of the cash-based expenses, they are supposed to be paid in cash. So where do we find the payments? So you can see the payments are here. All your payments are from the bank account here, right? The bank account payments here, right? So you can see all of these yellow highlights. These are your expenses. However, we know that some expenses here, general expenses, we do also have, sorry, not salaries and wages, general expenses and insurance repairs. आपके पास यहाँ पे उसकी कुछ accruals and prepayments भी हैं. So there are some insurance accrued and prepaid, right? So let's sort this out first. ठीक है. So बल्कि ऐसा करते हैं, पहले आसान वाले लिख लेते हैं जिनके अंदर कोई एडजस्टमेंट नहीं है. So फिर हम उनको कैलकुलेट कर लेंगे. Electricity, there is nothing, no adjustments here electricity में, right? So electricity and telephone is 5,300, no adjustment here, right? Then the second expense is salaries and wages, no adjustment there either, salaries and wages. So salaries and wages is also 24,200, right? Then you have general expenses, and then you have insurance and repairs. Now these are the two expenses where we have to adjust accrued and prepayments part. So we are going to show a working here, working one, right? And this is how we will make the working, show the working. Okay. So ideally, you should make an account for accrued and prepaid expenses. So let me make one for you. So these are your general expenses account. So general expenses, if you see in your balance sheet, your general expenses here, they are owing, number one. And if they are owing, that means they are your liability as well, because accrued expense आप owe करते हैं किसी को, so that becomes your liability at the same time. So general expense last year owing was $250, and this year, at the end of this year, you owed $450. So Alina Bakas, pay attention here. So since these are owing or liabilities, so the balance brought down and the balance carried down will appear exactly like purchase ledger control account, जो कि आपकी liability को represent करता है. So if you're confused that how should we place the balances, recall control accounts. अगर एक accrued expense है तो वो liability है, so उसके balances exactly purchase ledger control account की तरह place आप करेंगे. लेकिन अगर एक एक्सपेंस प्रीपेड है तो वो आपका एसेट बन जाएगा और उसके बैलेंसेस आप सेल्स लेजर कंट्रोल अकाउंट की तरह प्लेस करेंगे, बिकॉज वो भी आपका एसेट है बाय नेचर. सो द बैलेंस ब्रॉट डाउन विल बी ऑन द क्रेडिट साइड फॉर जनरल एक्सपेंसेस. द अमाउंट ओड इज 250 लास्ट ईयर, एंड द बैलेंस कैरिड डाउन विल बी प्लेस्ड ऑन द डेबिट साइड हियर, $450. So that is how we are going to put the two balances here, right? The opening balance 250, the closing balance 450. That's how these are going to be placed here, just like any liability account, right? Yes, here. Okay, we understand? Give me a green check if you understand the placing of these balances. Or if you don't understand, a red cross. So no red crosses here, no red crosses here. Good. Okay. Any other value given for general expenses? Yes, we have general expenses paid in the bank account. You can see here, that is the amount that you paid, $10,300, right? So if general expenses have been paid $10,300 during the year, and you can see the bank account is credited, general expenses account must have been debited to complete the double entry, right? So this $10,300 is going to be on the debit side here with bank. That means payment made. जो भी आपने payment की थी for general expenses, that is 10,300 on the debit side. Why is it on the debit side? Because when you pay for general expenses, you debit general expenses account and you credit the bank account, and you can see the bank account is already credited here for general expenses, $10,300, right? And bank account का credit entry ये है, and general expenses are going to be debited here, right? Okay, this general expenses account is going to be debited. All right, we agree with this value. Give me a green check here. Okay, Hadia, good. Hadia, okay. Hadia, we understand this part first of all, the placing of the opening balance and the closing balance. Are we clear on this part? Okay, good. So we're not clear about this part, right? So you can, okay. The general expenses, you can see the information. You are given the bank account summary, right? This is your bank T account. Okay, this is the T account for your bank. Basically, your cash book is being presented over here. So you see general expenses on the credit side here. You paid for general expenses 10,300. So how do we record it in the, what's the double entry for this? Bank account is being credited here. You can see it's on the payment side, the credit side. So bank account is being credited 10,300. Then general expenses account should have been debited. And that is what we are doing here. In fact, it was debited. So we are showing this debit entry here in the general expenses account. Right, Hadia? You understand? So this entry is the reflection of the previous bank entry. Good, Hadia. Very good. So now we are going to balance this account, and the balancing figure will tell us what is our actual income statement charge. Income statement transfer आपको बता रही है कि आपका actual expense क्या था. So you can, I think it's, what's the balancing figure here? This is the balancing figure. So that comes out to be 10,300 plus 450 minus 250 is 10,500, I guess. This should be $10,500, right? That's good, Alicia. Thank you. $10,500. Okay. So that is our expense. And that is what we will show here as $10,500, our income statement charge here. 10,500. Okay, give me a green check if you understand how to calculate double accrued expense or a double अभी हम prepayment के भी solve करेंगे, right? Okay, Iman Farouk and Fajr and Iman Badr and Madiha and Minal. आपको नहीं समझ आया बेटे? Right. Okay, good. Similarly, we are going to make a prepaid. अब हम next जो हमारा expense है, that is insurance and repairs. And for insurance and repairs, you can see that these have been prepaid $400 and $600, right? So insurance and repair का account हम बनाएंगे और वो prepaid का account होगा जैसे general expenses का account था. We are going to make insurance prepaid, insurance and repairs account, just like that. Insurance and repairs. And since this is a prepayment, then a prepayment is an asset, and the balance brought down and the balance carried down will appear like how an asset account balances should appear, like sales ledger control account balances appear, right? And last year insurance and repairs were prepaid at $400. This year it's prepaid at $600. So give me a green check if you understand the placing of these opening and closing balances. This is exactly opposite to the general expenses. The reason is general expenses was accrued expense, a liability. Insurance and repairs is a prepaid expense, an asset, right? Okay. Red cross if you don't understand the placing of balances. Okay, good. So the next figure that we need over here is to see how much insurance was paid. So you can see the payments on the bank account. Again, we will refer to the bank account here, right? And you can see insurance and repairs have been paid here by the amount of $8,200. So bank account is being credited here in this summary. And if bank account is credited, then the account to be debited should be insurance and repairs, which we are making right now. So insurance and repairs account is going to be debited with this $8,200. So $8,200 is going to be debited here. So bank account, and this is representing the payment we made for insurance and repairs, right? So give me a green check if you understand. Just like general expenses, जिस तरह बैंक की पेमेंट हमने यहाँ पे डेबिट साइड पे लिखी थी, इसी तरह insurance and repairs की payment we are also going to place it on the debit side of this account, right? Okay, a red
Excuse
cross.
me, sir.
जी बेटे.
Sir, wouldn't an asset account, shouldn't this value be on the credit side because it's an asset account?
नहीं.
The nature of.
Okay. First of all, remember insurance and repairs is an expense account, right? Just under these circumstances, only a part of this is prepaid, and that is what makes it an asset by nature. But its fundamental nature remains an expense, right? And an expense always increases on the debit side and decreases on the credit side. So when you pay for an expense, your expense increases, and that is by 8,200 on the debit side. Similarly, when you paid for general expenses, your expense was increasing, and that's why you chose the debit side here, right?
I get it, sir. Thank you.
Okay, good. So now we balance this account, and the balancing figure is going to tell us how much to be transferred to the income statement. The income statement transfer to income statement will tell you what is the true expense nature out of all of these values. So 9,002 and 8,600 on the debit side minus 600 will give you $8,000 as an expense, right? And that is what we will place here in the income statement, right? So insurance expense and repairs is going to be placed as $8,000. So give me a green check if you understand how to calculate the actual expense out of double accrued or a double prepaid expense account, right? Double means यहाँ पे कि वो last year भी था और इस साल भी था, और yes Asma, thank you, right? Absolutely, Fajr. We don't necessarily have to make these accounts. We can always add the opening prepayment and less the closing prepaid expense. हम क्यों प्रीपेड क्लोजिंग माइनस करेंगे? क्योंकि वो हमारे करंट ईयर से मैच नहीं करता, उसका बेनिफिट आप नेक्स्ट ईयर में यूज़ करेंगे, इसलिए आप सब्ट्रैक्ट कर देंगे. ओपनिंग प्रीपेमेंट आप ऐड कर देंगे क्योंकि लास्ट ईयर के एंड पे जो प्रीपेमेंट थी वो आपके करंट ईयर से मैच करती है, दैट इज़ व्हाई यू एड इट. यस, यू कैन डू दैट. I am deliberately doing these accounts initially because sometimes the examiners, they ask for these accounts to be prepared. So अगर ये नहीं कहा जाएगा फिर तो आपके पास अपनी तरीका होगा, आप जैसे मर्जी आप उसको प्रेजेंट करना चाहें आप कर सकते हैं. What Fajr is suggesting here that insurance repairs के लिए हम ये भी लिख सकते थे कि 8,200 हमने एक्चुअली पे किया था टोटल, उसमें लास्ट ईयर का प्री पेमेंट जो है which is $400 वो ऐड कर दें और इस साल की प्री पेमेंट सब्ट्रैक्ट कर दें $600. So that will also give you the same result. That is true. Take it in casual workings, we can also do that. But for now, we just want to be formal here, right? So if you are required to make these accounts, you will do it like this. So Alina Wakas, are we comfortable with this part? अभी हम बहुत सारे और भी accounts बनाएंगे. Hopefully Alina को December sessions की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. Yes, Alina? Alina Wakas, right? Okay, good. So I'm sorry थोड़ा लेसन लंबा हो रहा है. Is that okay? आपकी कोई क्लैश तो नहीं, अभी कोई क्लास तो नहीं शुरू होने वाली किसी की? अच्छा चलो खैर, इन एनी केस मेरी शुरू हो जाएगी. एनीवे, सो उसके अलावा हमारे पास कोई और एक्सपेंस रह गया? वी हैव looked through everything. We have taken all the expenses from द बैंक अकाउंट जिनको एडजस्टमेंट्स चाहिए थी हमने उनको एडजस्ट कर दिया, जिनको एडजस्टमेंट्स नहीं चाहिए थी जैसे इलेक्ट्रिसिटी और सैलरीज एंड वेजेस हमने उनको एज एज को कैलकुलेट करके लिखा हुआ। डिप्रिसिएशन ऑफ मशीनरी इज ऑल्सो अकाउंटेड फॉर। Is there anything else? Yes, there is one thing. You can see there is an interest here. So that interest has to be treated as an expense too. So interest we have already calculated. It's only going to be $600, right? And interest accrued we have, by the way. So remember in the balance sheet, you have to show it as a current liability too, right? So this part is done. And interest ke baad, we have discount received already accounted for, sales ये भी हमने account for कर लिया, और बाकी यहाँ पे हमारे पास जो भी incomes और expenses थे वो भी कर लिए. So there is nothing left now, so you can calculate the profit now here. So what's the total of expenses now? Yes, Maheen, thank you, Maheen. Interest is left and now we have placed interest. So can you tell me about the expenses total here? 51,600. नहीं, 51,600 क्या चीज आ रही है? Alina, are you sure? That can't be right because yes, true, 51,600 तो ये है. This is only just 8,000, 10,000, 24, 32. This should be around 40,000 something. 51,600. 24, 34, 42, 48, 3,000, 51,600 ही आ रहा है. Okay, there's some error somewhere then. ठीक है, 51,600 and subtracted here. Can you check the answer? क्या गलत हो रहा है? कुछ गलत हो रहा है, right? अच्छा ठीक है, okay, 51,200. So $400 का loss आ रहा है, ठीक है, net loss. But I don't remember this question giving us a net loss. Can you check the answer at the back because I don't have it? There is some value missing somewhere. कोई चीज़ गलत हो रही है. So can you check? अच्छा, it is a loss. Did you check it with the back? Acha, it is correct. So there is a net loss of $400. I may be confusing it with another question. Okay. So there is net loss for the year. Okay, so we are going to try making the balance sheet on your own now, right? If you can, fine. Otherwise, we'll continue with the balance sheet tomorrow. So today's lesson is over. You can leave, right? I have recorded this lesson and मैं classes के बाद इसको upload कर दूँगा. Okay? I'll see you tomorrow. Hafiz. Alicia, if an account is an expense by nature, an increase in it would mean that we debit it, right? And yes, yes, true, Alicia. True, Alicia. Alina, thank you, Alina. Okay, Alina. Alicia, great. Iman, you have a question with it? Nope.